I'm photographing Carlisle at night. Join me. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again, and let's have a little look at the clock. It is 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in the middle of Carlisle because there's been some lights put onto some of the buildings, and I thought, you know what, there'll be no one around because everyone's got in. I'm going to take the camera out and I'm going to see if I can take some shots of a couple of the landmark buildings, one being the old courts and the other one being Carlisle Cathedral, which you can see behind me. And I thought I'll see how successful I can be, take a few stills of that and see how they come out. So what have I been doing to do that? Well, I had to think about what I was going to be doing, both lens choice wise and also how I was going to photograph them. So what I decided to do was to set the camera up in a few different little ways and have a look. First of all, what I was trying to do was to get a very fast lens if I could. So I've been using my Olympus 17mm lens, and also just on the cathedral here because I needed something wider and it was the only one that I had, my Lumix 12-60, which is the f3.5 to 5.6, and that gave me the opportunity to open them up really high to get lots of light in. I'm using a tripod, but I didn't want too long an exposure. I could have really done maybe getting the lenses stopped down to about f4 or f5.6, and that would have given me some advantages insofar as the overall image maybe. But when there's still people moving around and still traffic, if somebody goes in your shots when you're actually on a long exposure, then it ruins it. And there was too many people around for that and too much vehicles around for that. So I wanted to try and get a nice fast lens. White balance, well, what I decided on the white balance was it's very difficult to get a white balance at all in the dark. So I set it to cloudy. I set it to a default cloudy, and that, why I did that rather than just leaving it on auto, the auto would probably have done very well. But by doing this, it gives me a common white balance across all the shots that I do. So if I do a change on the white balance in post-production, then I can apply the same change to all of them and get the same results. Now I took a couple of little shots, but it was very, very difficult to get a good exposure on them. And what I decided to do, I was using the Olympus EM1 Mark II, by the way. And what I decided to do on that was to use the HDR mode, and I set it to HDR1. And the reason I did that is it's going to give me quite a bit of variance between the shots, and when it puts it all together, it's going to give me a far better dynamic range. Now the colours are going to be quite vibrant anyway, I would guess, purely for the fact that it's the way that it is. You've got a black background with some high intensity lights shining on the side of a building, so you're going to have huge contrast in the colours. So I don't think some of the problems that you get with HDR, where you can get a little bit of a blowing out the colours and making it too rich, is going to be a problem here. So what I decided to do, as I say, was set on the HDR1, cloudy. On the 17mm, I had it about f2.2. I didn't take it all the way down to f1.8. I've got a little bit of an advantage on that, but it's given me that just a bit of a depth of field advantage. But the problem I'm going to have, even with that, is seeing what the depth of field is like. I'm relying on the fact that it's a wide angle lens going to give me that depth, rather than having to worry about being at a medium f-stop. So let's have a look at some of the photographs to see what I've done. First of all, we're going to look at the old courts. And I've taken these from various angles, and you can see it had quite a strong blue light on it. And as I say, I've took these on HDR1. They seem to be coming out quite nicely, actually. I needed the tripod though, because some of the exposures, when you were getting onto the longer exposures, were several seconds long, and it would have been far too much to handhold. And not only that, between frames I didn't want to be having any sort of judder at all. So good tripod, dealt with that one. So here's a selection of those shots, as I say. And while you're looking at these shots, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and give me a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And at the end I'll tell you all about the Patreon and things, but keep watching until the end if you want details on how to become a Patreon member. So let's get on with the shots, first of all from the old courts and then from the cathedral. I'll be back in a second. Well, I think they've come out fairly well. The hard part, of course, is trying to get the sky to be totally black, because it is black. And one of the problems that you can get is it tends to, the camera, if you just leave it to itself to work it out, it can try and get that 18% grey, or that, you know, that light equivalent on that. And what it'll do is see a very, very black background and try and change the exposure so it'll overexpose, and then you get a greyness in the background. It loses a lot of the contrast. So one, by doing the HDR has given me the opportunity to get around that. But secondly, I've been very, very careful to see what the photographs came out like, to see that I did actually have a black background, because I wanted it's very, very black sky today, and see how that came out. The cathedral ones were a little bit different because they were being lit by sodium lamps and give a very, very much an orange glow. And unfortunately, there's some tents, some marquees around the back of the cathedral, which are internally lit and very, very bright in comparison. You'll see them on the left-hand side of the ones around the back of the cathedral. I don't think it's too bad. It's incorporated in, but it's the problem that you've got. You can't change what's on the street furniture, and you can't change what's around these things. You take potluck, and you know, I could come down in a few days' time, and they wouldn't be there, but the lights wouldn't be there either, maybe. So you come out and you take your chances what you can get. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it's inspired you to go out in the dark and the cold, because it's quite chilly tonight. Hope it's inspired you to get out in the dark and the cold and maybe take some photographs in your town to see what you can do with them. It doesn't have to be just streaming type lights that you get from tail lights and cars moving past. You can get some really good things, especially at this time of year. The disappointment for me is, I was hoping the Christmas lights were going to be on, but it sounds like they switch them off early evening so as to not hit the ecology of the planet, so not waste energy. So I'm going to have to come down at a different time for them, but that's another journey out, and it's a good excuse. So, if you're not currently a Patreon member, there's a little link which you can see going along the bottom. I keep on looking at the screen every time I say a little link, but there's a little link going across the bottom there for the Patreon address, and it's also duplicated on the details below if you want to become a patron of the channel. There's 2 or 3 different levels you can be on that, and it gives you access to some early videos and some little bits of extras which are going to be building up over time. But it also means that you support the channel and keep us going. The other one, if you don't want to become a patron, you can always still just buy me a coffee by donating something through the PayPal link. Again, that's there, and it's also in the details below. However, whatever time of day it is, whether it's night or day, keep on taking your camera out, keep on having fun with your photography. Till the next time. See you. I'm going inside. It's too cold. Bye.